to get on the Nearpod. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. But first, as you guys know from all of your morning classes and today's morning huddle or community meeting, we are really pushing our camera on in the frame feedback. So as you guys can see, Ms. Trudeau is going to be our teacher helper for this week. So if she recognizes or notices that your camera is off, she's going to be sending you follow-up chats. And another thing is if you need to turn off your camera because like, I know it's 1 o'clock, you might need to use the restroom, grab your lunch, whatever you need to do, and you need like a 5-minute camera break, please make sure you're chatting Ms. Trudeau so that way she is aware that's why your camera is off and you don't have to worry about harassing messages from either herself or me. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jade, for letting me know about your tech. Great. We are going to go ahead and get started. As a reminder of our norms, we are all in. Attendance and cold call responses are impacting a quiz grade every week. Your video is on, your microphone is off, and we're only using the Zoom chat when prompted. Your Google Classroom is where you can find all assignments. As a reminder, your winter break packet was due this morning. If you have not done that, please get it done by 8 p.m. and I will not count it as late. So make sure you use your time. Thank you, Erica. Can you just chat that to Ms. Trudeau directly so that way she knows? Winter break packet, if you haven't turned it in yet, turn it in by 8 p.m. and I will not count it as late. And your homework for this week, which is just a short pre-reading, will be going live tonight so you can get it done before Thursday's class. Great, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Please locate page 1 of your classwork. And you are going to be reading a quick piece of background information on the Patriot Act. So you're going to take 5 minutes to read about the Patriot Act, and then we're going to come together on the Nearpod in a collab board. 5 minutes on the Patriot Act. Go ahead and get started. Page 1 of the classwork. Chat me if you have any questions. You have 3.5 minutes left on the do now. In case you tried to message Ms. Trudeau earlier but couldn't because she wasn't a co-host, she is now a co-host. So if you need to chat her for anything tech related, that option is now open. 90 more seconds to finish your pre-reading on what the Patriot Act is. You have 45 seconds to finish up. I have the collab board open on Nearpod for you to share your response to the question, what is the Patriot Act? So you can transition to the Patriot Act. You can transition to the Nearpod to share your response to what the Patriot Act is. Go ahead and get started on the Nearpod. Thank you, Isis, for starting us off with a really thorough response. Thank you to everybody that is participating on the Nearpod. We're going to take 30 seconds to finish sharing our response. What is the Patriot Act? What does it do? Make sure if you've already shared your response in the Nearpod that you're going through and hearting each other's responses that you want to support or that you agree with. Awesome. We're going to go and pause there. Take 15 seconds, read your classmates' responses and heart the ones that you agree with. This collaboration board is just that initial, what is the Patriot Act? What is it supposed to do? And why was the Patriot Act in place? Now we are going to transition to page 2 of your classwork that is labeled Hook. And we're going to try to figure out, did the Patriot Act actually work? So you're going to read these 3 paragraphs on whether or not the Patriot Act works, contribute to a Nearpod collab board, and then we'll come back together as a group to discuss whether or not the Patriot Act was effective. If I can get the Nearpod to work. So page 3 of the classwork. Yes, page 3 of the classwork. You're gonna have 5 minutes to read this info on the Patriot Act and whether or not it worked. And then we'll come back together to discuss. 5 minutes, go ahead and get started. 3.5 minutes left. You have 90 seconds left. You can now contribute to the Nearpod collab board. Why is the Patriot Act so controversial? You have 90 seconds to respond to this question utilizing this reading. Why is the Patriot Act so controversial? Awesome. Thank you, Nyesha, for the urgency in the Nearpod. Awesome. 30 more seconds to share in the Nearpod. If you've already shared, you can go through and heart each other's responses that you agree with. Awesome. Before we go into whole group discourse on this question, I just want to make sure that we are all under the same understanding about expectations for camera on. So thank you so much for everybody that has their camera on and their face in frame. If you are not in frame, please take 30 seconds to get yourself adjusted. So that way we can be marking you as fully present and engaged. Would really appreciate it. If this is an issue or a concern, please chat myself or Ms. Trudeau. Great. So why is the Patriot Act so controversial? Can I hear from Ariana and then Isis?
I think that the Patriot Act can be seen as controversial because it violates privacy of citizens.
Mm-hmm.
I said the Patriot Act is so controversial because although the federal government feels like the act is a major success in preventing terrorism, citizens feel like it violates their individual liberties by searching private information?
Awesome. So the biggest trend that I'm seeing in the Nearpod and that I've heard voiced by Ariana and Isis is this concern that the Patriot Act takes away our right to privacy, which is guaranteed in the Bill of Rights. So based off of your own understanding of the Patriot Act, do American citizens have a right to privacy? In the Zoom chat, please let me know, yes or no. And no, I don't know, maybe in the middle. Yes, yes or no, do Americans have a right to privacy? Awesome, thank you, Montana. Thank you, Nyasha. Thank you, Ariana. Okay, in the chat, it looks like universally we've agreed that Americans do have the right to privacy. According to the Patriot Act, does the American government respect our right to privacy? Yes or no in the Zoom chat. Awesome. So what we've recognized in the Zoom chat is this concern about what an American's right is and the way that it is valued in the United States. On page 4 of today's classwork, you're going to see a chart that has our main inquiry for the day. To what extent does the Patriot Act end a right to privacy in the United States? Utilizing your pre-work from the do now and the hook, I want you to take 3 minutes to start filling in the chart where privacy ended and maybe where it did not end. 3 minutes to fill out the chart utilizing this pre-work, and then we'll come back together as a group. Go ahead and get started. I'll be popping in and out of your Google Docs to see what examples you are coming up with. I apologize if my instructions were not totally clear. You're filling in the chart based off of what you read in the do now and the hook. So 3 minutes to fill in the chart based off of what you've read already. Thirty more seconds to finish filling out your chart based off of this initial reading. Awesome. Your chart should be, you should have started the filling out of your chart. As a reminder, if your camera is off and I do not see you participating in Nearpod, you will be marked as absent. If there is a technical issue for why your camera is on, please communicate that with Ms. Trudeau so that way we can figure out a way to excuse it and correct this for future classes. You have to be doing both things in order to be marked as present. If this is a concern, please reach out to me and I will work with you. So, to what extent did the Patriot Act and the right to privacy in the United States? Can I hear what you put in your chart or you started thinking about Niasia and then Madison?
Do you want a specific side or no?
Whatever you thought was important. Just specify which side you put it on.
A key for privacy ended, something that was like really important was the delayed warrant notification. So people can't figure out that they're a suspect. And for privacy didn't end, it was in 2015 when they finally decided that the surveillance team and the government, whatever, had to be transparent and open with the American people.
Awesome. Thank you, Naisha and Madison.
I agree with Asia, and I put for the privacy ended because it says on the hook part that section 215 of the Patriot Act attempts to go into people's personal phone records, and that's a violation of one's right to privacy. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that initial deep dive into this question. And we are going to read the only document for today. I said what I said, only document. I know you guys are super excited. So on page 5, you're going to read a very short excerpt from an article from the Huffington Post that describes how things have changed since 9/11 and how this right to privacy has been altered in the United States, along with some really interesting things that the ACLU points out in terms of how the Patriot Act is limiting or sometimes completely contradicting the Bill of Rights. So you're going to have 5 minutes to read this passage, and then we're going to jump directly into discourse after you finish filling out your chart. So you're going to have 5 minutes to read page 5 and start filling out your chart, and then we'll come back together as a whole group before our extended exit ticket. 5 minutes, go ahead and get started. Three and a half minutes left on page 5. 90 more seconds. I'm really impressed with the annotations that I'm seeing in the people contributing on the digital document. I'm seeing some really active annotations. Twenty more seconds to finish your annotations on page 5. Awesome. I'm going to open a open response prompt on the Nearpod. Today's question is, to what extent does a right to privacy exist in the United States? What I want you guys to really put your focus on is the idea of to what extent. So to what extent does the right to privacy somewhat exist, or does it not exist, or is it something that is valued in the United States? So you're going to have 3 minutes to respond, and then we'll come back together as a whole group before we start our extended exit ticket. 3 minutes on the clock. It should be open for you now. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Thank you, Montana. Thank you, Jade, for responding. Awesome, Janaya. Love the use of referencing different amendments. Awesome. I'm at 33%. We have 30 more seconds for you to finish up. Great, we're at 50. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for contributing on that Nearpod. We're at 100% of our Nearpod responses. So thank you guys so much for that active involvement. So does the right to privacy exist in the United States? I will take 2 volunteers. Great. Can I hear from Jade and then Erica?
I said it does exist, but to like a certain extent, like in the document, like it said that we were it said that we were allowed to like have blades and weapons and stuff like that, like to protect ourselves when we board the plane, and now we're not allowed to. Like I know when you take the plane, like when I have a couple times, we're not allowed to like have liquids or anything that even looks like a weapon or looks like it could harm somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's to an extent, of course, because the United States of America, whatever, they prioritize safety over privacy. So if they feel like there's lives at jeopardy, they will infringe on privacy with no problem.
Exactly. And this goes back to our overall unit idea. What matters more, public safety or civil liberties? What matters more, our individual rights and our abilities to do certain things, or the collective unit of the United States? And we've often referenced the coronavirus as like an example where it's like, what's more important, an individual's right to do or not do something, or their collective responsibility for the country as a whole? So now that we've gone through the Patriot Act, which is a very interesting moment in American history where the civil rights of all people are infringed upon in order for collective safety to be progressed. So we are going to transition to today's exit ticket. The reason why I say extended is it's a full data-based free response question. So it should take you about 12 minutes to complete. If you have any questions or concerns about this exit ticket, just to set up some framing, I had to get Ms. Wright's help with this exit ticket when I did it. So if you have any questions, please chat me. Don't get stuck and then feel defeated. Chat me if you have any questions or concerns. I know you guys are going to do awesome work on it, and I can't wait to see your responses. Once I see that you've turned in today's classroom assignment and submitted your exit ticket, you will be free to go. And if you have the paper copy of today's materials that you got in person last week, the exit ticket is digital. I did not give any exit tickets for this week, so that way I could streamline collection. So if you have paper copies, make sure you're doing the exit ticket online because that is the only place you can find it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to chat me. And you can go ahead and get started. Again, once you get your classwork submitted and your exit ticket submitted, you'll be free to go. Thank you, Isis, for sending along a question. When you look at the data, and for part A, describe the tension expressed in the graph. Basically what that means is like, what is the relationship between the data that you're seeing in the graph? What is the tension between that light gray line and that dark gray line? You have 9 more minutes. Again, this is authentic timed practice for when you have this question on the AP exam in May. So 9 more minutes, 8 more minutes now. Thank you, Jade. Thank you, Ariana. You guys are free to go. You have 6 more minutes. Thank you, Erica. I got your exit ticket. If you can just submit photos of your classwork, and then you'll be free to go. And just attach that to the turn-in assignment. If you completed the work independently on paper, just be prepared to submit photos of that work. Thank you, Tisa. You're free to go. Thank you, Isis. You may go. Montana and Nazaya, once I get your classwork packet, you guys are free to go. Thanks, guys. I just saw a bunch of you submitted your exit ticket. Just give me a second to refresh. Nazaya, you're free to go. Nyasia, you're free to go. Ziara, you're free to go. Montana, you're free to go.
Bye.
Bye. Everybody else, you have 3 more minutes.
Miss Swat, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I already did my exit ticket, but it's like a different question, but the same topic. So let's say there was a terrorist, right? But, sorry, but they're not, like, let's say they're living in the United States, but they're not citizens. So technically, if they're not citizens of the United States, they don't have any constitutional rights. So can the government like infringe upon their rights?
Legally, it's hard to argue against it. Morally, however, because remember what the founders argued is that these are inalienable rights that every person is entitled to. So the question is like, just because they can doesn't mean that they should. And that is an argument that many politicians have used.
But so if it's an alien, whatever, however you say that word.
One second, Madison, Dwayne, and you're free to go.
So if we say it's an alien, whatever, you know that word I'm talking about. So why do we always say citizens when it's everyone then?
Say that for me one more time.
Because you said it's a right that everyone has. So how come when we're discussing these things, we always say, like, even in class, we say rights for citizens if it's a right for everyone?
Well, that's like the ideal versus like the reality. Because as we know, a lot of people in the United States that lived here, whether it be like they were women or they were African American or they were Mexican American, Chicano, whatever, just because they lived here and were like contributing members to society, a lot of times the founders did not acknowledge that they had a right to certain things.
Well, if I become someone in the government, I'm gonna invade their rights anyways because they're not a citizen.
Kezia, you're free to go. Yamani, once you turn in your classwork, you're free to go.
Well, I just have to submit pictures of my work, then I'm done.
Okay, sounds good. I hope that answered your question. I'll say Miss Trudeau knows all about Jose and Raphael. Now she knows the perks of Madison as well.
Full Cora family, gotta collect them all.
Oh my gosh. Jenny, I'm sorry, I just saw your question. I believe so. Yes, searches and seizures is the Fourth Amendment. Awesome, Shaniqua, you remembered before I did. Okay. Oh, and she left.